We think here in America that we live at a time in history where people are freer than they've ever been. It's probably a time where more people have been in slavery than ever before.
It targets all groups of people. It doesn't target people who make little money or if they make millions of dollars. It doesn't care.
When I first got into it, I had no clue what I was doing.
Life is being put on the line every single day.
It makes you feel really dirty inside.
These children are probably the most vulnerable children in society.
Tonight I want to be gang raped. I want to have foreign objects inserted into me. I want to be held in a dog crate. I want to be branded, not tattooed, branded.
But it seemed like it took all of them to die for me to get a chance to live and get my life right. So I feel like a lot of times that I have to do this. I've been one of the ones that was able to escape that life. My job now is to go back and find any young girl and any woman that's living that life that want out. I want to help them get out. Remember being out there?
Yeah. Thank God for your heart.
I survived straight hell.
Indeed, in the wake of the murders, Carolyn finally motivated to make a change. A painful epiphany late one night, she says, at a bus stop along the side of Van Buren.
And I was broke, I was hungry, I was homeless, I didn't have nowhere to go. The hurt and the guilt and the shame and the pain of all of my friends being dead, and they're all dying around me, and they've been left in trailers to die and rot. And their bodies was decomposing, and before they could find them, that was like living in a horror movie.
Hey, you. What are you doing?
Nothing.
Yeah, you ain't doing nothing. What you want, Gatorade?
Yeah, what Joey did you want here?
Yeah. I never would have thought that I would be working behind a desk anywhere. I never thought that. Okay, come back later and I'll give you a piece of this when you come back again. Because you know you're going to come back 3 or 4 times. You'll come here.
I'll go back, okay?
Okay, in about 15 minutes. I don't never, ever have to live like that again. And that's because some women gave me some hope. That's because some women came alongside of me. That's because a group of women. Had I had them women when I was 13, 14 years old, my life would have a whole different turn.
This is me and my oldest daughter, Danica. This is my 2 daughters, Danica and Shamari. That's Sade and Shamari, the 2 daughters. This is my grandbaby and my son-in-law. Yep. I went to jail, and she stayed out here. And she was turned out to prostitution at the age of 14 as well. And I struggle with that today because she's still with the same guy. She just had a baby. She's 6 months old. And I have to see her live this life that I know where it's gonna lead her to. You know, the guy that she has, he beats her, you know, and it's unbelievable.
You know, when I first heard about it, I thought, sure, Cambodia, Thailand. I had no idea that this was happening in the United States. I had no idea that it would be happening in Phoenix.
We have a real problem in our community with children who are being forced to have sex for money. You know, you can't believe it because it's so far from anything you can personally imagine.
You don't belong to your mother. You don't belong to your father. You're not theirs anymore. You now are property of that pimp. You're branded for life.
Has it grown? Yes, indeed, it's grown. Witnessing on the Las Vegas Strip, I've seen girls are still 15, girls are still 16, and they're selling their body. I am the founder of Hookers for Jesus. It's a ministry that helps prostitutes and strippers and porn stars to seek a relationship with God and get out of what they're doing. Because I used to be a prostitute and a stripper.
We are going out on the Las Vegas Strip, and we're actually going to witness to people tonight about God.
What's your guys' technique?
We just walk up to people cold turkey. Our technique is to not be too religious with them. We just tell them that God loves them a lot.
I started to prostitute myself over a boyfriend that I was in love with. He did not turn me out. It was someone that moved away that I didn't have the money to see him in California. So I went to Hawaii with my girlfriend, and I got turned out on the street. Me and my girlfriend did. On our own, there was no influence of a pimp or anything. And I started selling my body. And once I learned how I could manipulate men and make that kind of money and get what I wanted fast, and I didn't have to work up this corporate ladder at my job, I was hooked.
Now, like, they come out between like 11 and 2 o'clock. That's when they come out. I can get there in 10. Because I used to work, I know. That you have to really care about who you're reaching out to. You have to actually know, too, how to reach out to them. It's a real sensitive issue because if you say the wrong thing, you'll get hit or spit on or pushed, or they'll just run away from you. But if you say the right thing, that's when God can move and he can actually touch their hearts and you can talk about God.
Many people would have the misconception and think that the only girls that get into this type of lifestyle would be the women that are from poor families, are from bad neighborhoods. But I'll tell you what, with me, my family was a middle-class family. My family watched Leave It to Beaver on TV and Gomer Pyle and all those little shows, the family shows.
Do you run into a lot of girls under the age of 18 out here when you do this?
I've ran into 16, 15, even 13-year-olds and 17-year-olds, yes I have.
Is that becoming more common?
You know what? It's like every other girl is underage.
Prostitution doesn't just target one group of people, it targets all groups of people. It doesn't target people who make little money or if they make millions of dollars. It doesn't care.
The myth of prostitution is that these girls, they wanted to do this. That this is something, as if they were aspiring from age 14, that, you know, someday I want to grow up and be a prostitute. That I think it's easy to write them off as soon as we use the term prostitute.
These children are probably the most vulnerable children in society for whatever reason. And so they have been preyed upon just like any other child victim of any sex crime.
There's not a single child who went out and said, oh, you know what? Tonight I want to be gang raped. I want to have foreign objects inserted into me. I want to be held in a dog crate. I want to be branded, not tattooed, branded.
People are out in the streets usually because they have absolutely no other choice.
When I first got into it, I had no clue what I was doing because I had to experience all the trauma and the rapes and the pimping, watching my friends die. I didn't realize that the movies portrayed it. Some movies portrayed it in a very negative light, but then there were some movies like Pretty Woman that made you want to engage in it.
I couldn't do it anymore. You know, I have a 2-year-old daughter, you know, which I did, you know, get out of being in the sex industry. And she was a lot, you know, she had a lot to do with it because, you know, there's so much danger going out there, you know, getting raped, getting robbed, guns at your head, you know, and I didn't want to not come home in the morning to my daughter.
Because of you, I'm blessed. Because of you, I'm blessed. In choosing love, I found the truth. And if we all can do that with ourselves, if we choose love, we'll see the truth in everything we do.
The actual night when I got out of it, I was actually talking to a guy, and we were about ready to go upstairs, and I said, I'm sorry, I gotta go. And I got up, and I sent a text message to Annie, and then I called her, and I'm like, Annie, I need to get out of this. I can't do this anymore. This is not me. This is wrong. This is not what God wants me to do, and I need help. I need to get out of this. And she came to the casino and met up with me, and we prayed right there in the casino. And I've never looked back since. I never will.
How can I love someone without a heart? How can something end if it never started? How can I feel love, pain, and hurt if I have no emotions? How can I see when I have no sight? How can I want you if I have no desire? How can I be locked up when I was never really free?
Normally, they don't even go to motel rooms. All they're going to do is hop in the car with the guy, turn down the street, down into a dark area, perform this sex act, and be on their way. And you're talking 5 to 10 minutes at the most for the deal. And so for her to do a deal and make $100 in 5 to 10 minutes, and then be right back out on the track, waiting, 3 or 4 minutes, literally, for the next guy to contact her, that just tells you how much money a girl can make. And a lot of times the pimps will give them a quota of how much money they have to make before they can stop working during the night. So the girls will know, hey, I have to make $1,000 or $600 or whatever the amount is. They have to make it, or they have to stay out on the track working. So a lot of times, especially the juveniles, is we'll contact these girls, we'll arrest the girls, and normally the very first thing we have to do is feed them, because they've been out working for 6 or 8 hours straight, and they haven't eaten, and they'll tell you, yeah, I think I've made about $800 or $900, which she's given over to the pimp, but she hasn't even kept food money, to where normally we got to go buy them a hamburger and stuff, because they're starving. They've been out working.
I used to walk the street and just cry. And just cry. And then, as soon as someone pull up, you gotta wipe these tears away. You gotta, hey, how you doing? You gotta put on these masks. Prostitutes wear a lot of masks. Whatever that man needs you to be in order to get that money.
I got kidnapped, I got beat, I got spit on. I got tied up, I got strangled, I had guns put in my mouth and other places you wouldn't even want to know about.
Most people really have a pretty abstract idea of what an assault is. In my world with my victims, assaults are much different. If you can imagine somebody with 40% more muscle mass who outweighs you by 100 pounds, holding you down by your throat and punching you in the face and breast until he got tired, that's an assault. If you can imagine sitting in a chair, having somebody come up and grab you by the hair of the head and pull on you so hard and so fast that it causes your scalp to separate from your skull, that's an assault in my world.
And these girls, when we contact them, man, they're like a prisoner of war. They have lost the will to live. Do you know what I mean? They're in that kind of zombie state of, man, I am so beat down, I have no choice in life. This is what I have to do.
Like, you know, my life it didn't mean nothing. It was about $1. It was about money. That's all it was about.
Women are in a very vulnerable situation. They can be, and are, unfortunately, killed in this line of work.
Prostitution is one of the worst forms of violence against women there is. People say that prostitution is the oldest profession and it's the oldest oppression of women and children that there are.
It's not like it's going to get her.
I'm pretty. This was actually when I first started prostituting on the streets. And the police pulled up and they were telling me, be careful of a black Cadillac. And I gave me the partial plate numbers. White guy, 6-something or whatever. Grabbed the girl, choked her, thought he had snapped her neck, threw her over in the garbage can. Thought she was dead. She turned out not to be dead. 4 days later, I met that girl walking down the street. Couldn't barely talk. Very hoarse. Like that. And I'm telling her the story and she tells me, oh, that was me. I know another girl, a friend of mine, her name was Whisper, she's in San Francisco, and she got stabbed like 9 times by a Mexican. She has a trach now in her throat, and beautiful, very beautiful, but young. And then there's another girl that I was really, really close to. Her name was Cristal, 14, in San Francisco. Got hooked on drugs. Guy just kept pumping her full of coke, pumping her full of coke, pumping her full of coke. I'm just so out of it one night that she literally just stepped in front of a moving vehicle, took her own life.
People really don't know what some of those girls go through, especially if they've been turned out at a young age.
Any child who's been in prostitution has been subjected to a very intense sexual abuse.
There's no hope. It's just a dark world. You're trapped in your emotions. You're trapped in your spirit. You're trapped in your mind. You're trapped in your soul. You're stuck. Everything is just is a hopeless. You have a hopeless state of mind.
When you go home at the end of the night, it makes you feel so dirty and so disgusting that you would actually go out and let some stranger put his hands all over you and feel you and being a prostitute, you put on a mask and you try to act like everything's okay. And you go out there and you smile and you act like, you know, you're just the coolest. And it's inside, it's killing you. It's not glamorous at all. It makes you feel really dirty inside.
Did you ever love a guy, yet know he didn't love you? Did you ever feel like crying, but wondered what good does it do? Did you ever look into his eyes and say prayer? Have you ever whispered I love you to him, but never let him hear it? The price you pay is so high. If I had a choice between love and death, I think I'll die. So when I say don't fall in love, just know you'll hurt before it's over. I should know because I fell in love with my pimp.
They say real pimps are born, not made. So, you know, I kind of just had it in me, I guess. I go by Sugar Slim, which is my street name. Use Sugar Slim. I had the name Slim for a long time. Once I got turned out and I was written in the books, then I put the sugar on it, you know, just for something catchy. Sugar Slim for when you get a sweet tooth.
He came into my life at the right time, where I was kind of searching for somebody to be in my life. My family wasn't really there, so I was lonely, and he said all the right things to me. And just kind of like selling a dream, it was exactly what I wanted to hear. You know, at first I wasn't really drawn to it, but then it just sounded like the right thing to do. It was really a brainwash completely, to make me believe that it was okay. At the time, it was okay.
Traditionally, it is a man who makes his business by violently abusing women, girls, and making them have sex, and in many, many different ways.
It's kind of like a vampire. They look for the weaker victim, and they feed off them. And then eventually, the girl becomes completely dry, and she is used up, and when they're done using the girl up, when she can't make more money anymore, they just toss her away.
You know, you can wheel and deal your hoes, your prostitutes, as you please. You know, I've traded them, you know, to other pimps for cash, for one of their girls, or so on and so forth. So it really lets you know how insignificant they are.
In order to show ownership to the other pimps and to remind the victims of their status, they will either tattoo them or, in some instances, brand them. This is very much like you would brand a cow.
They put it on their leg, on their chest. You know, we've had girls that have it on the back of their neck so that other people know who she belongs to.
Using a hot iron or a homemade branding iron made from a coat hanger, where it is heated up and then applied to the bare flesh in such a way that it will burn and scar. One young girl, she's 15 years old at the time this happened, she had Tay's bitch tattooed on her right breast.
In her mind, that's who she is. She's the property of that pimp.
Pimp, P-I-M-P, power in manipulating people. That sums it up.
I wanted to end up with him and did whatever I had to do to be with him. Anything, no matter what it was, get money, sell myself, and he didn't look down on me about it.
He's telling her anything she wants to hear, anything and everything. And so, at the end of the day, he can get what he wants, which is money. He doesn't care about that female.
So it's actually somebody that approaches these children who may not have known them previously, but who starts a relationship. And so it's not something that involves just grabbing somebody, but approaching and grooming and finding out where this person is and what the vulnerabilities are and whether this is a good person to target as a victim.
Is this the kind of person that I can exploit? Is this the kind of person that I can control? Is this the kind of person that I can convince or scare or intimidate into doing what I want them to do?
I haven't seen one yet that is over 25.
Pimps that get girls on the internet, get girls at the malls. In fact, that's probably their favorite spot to go, is the malls and hang out after school.
Even if it's a wealthy, suburban kid, a young female who, for whatever reason, she wants to be rebellious, she wants to fit in. He can manipulate the situation in any way, shape, or form.
People need to be aware that pimp is a predator. He is going to constantly seek out to recruit, to exploit a new victim. That is how they stay in business. They will go to the schools, they will go to the malls, they will go to the concerts, they will go to the events, they will go to the clubs and look for victims. They are always, always, always looking for their next victim.
They lure girls in by giving them false promises.
He's going to come up with a line, basically words to the effect that, has anybody told you that you could be a model? You are really model pretty.
They are gorgeous, and actually, I represent models. And let me give you my card.
It just so happens that I am a photographer, and when I'm out like this, I'm always looking for somebody that could be a model, that could, make both of us some money.
People would have you think they look like monsters. Most of them, very nice-looking young men.
They're promised, cars, clothes, getting their hair done, getting their nails done, stuff that they're not able to afford on a daily basis.
Any place you're going to find a group of likely victims, you're going to find a pimp there scouting, recruiting. So whether you can pick any mall in the greater Phoenix area, it's going to go on there. Maybe not every day, but I will guarantee you that sometime in the last month, there has been a pimp out there actively recruiting the young girls and sometimes the young boys that they see out there.
A lot of pimps lure these girls in by saying that they're their boyfriend, or they pretend that they're going to be in some type of dating relationship with the girl before being in the pimp-prostitute relationship. So the girl thinks that she has a boyfriend. And then here comes my boyfriend asking me to do this for him. And because he's my boyfriend and I'm the most special girl to him, I'm going to do this for him.
These guys will be on the internet looking at MySpace, looking at Facebook, just looking for likely candidates. You're just kind of exchanging information with people that you want to meet or might like. The pimp is looking at this as a potential victim. The person that's having some trouble in school, doesn't like school, having trouble with their parents, has dreams of an acting career, indicates they want to leave home. These are people that the pimp is going to go ahead and cold call. And it's just a thing like where they hit them up either on an instant message or an email and strike up conversation.
If they come from a home where they're not supported and loved and they don't feel like they're worth something, they can turn to somebody who falsely makes them feel like they're important.
You're taking advantage of, somebody's past or somebody's mental state, to benefit yourself. And, rather than just being a man and getting a job and, having a woman who can help take care of you and you can help take care of her.
We actually caught a case together with a younger girl that I got. I met her and got her to be in our family. She was under the age of 18, and we caught a case. We actually went to jail for it together.
You get promised one thing, and at the end of the day, nothing is like what it seems.
You now are property of that pimp. You're no longer your mother's daughter. You're no longer your father's little girl. You're the property of that pimp. And whatever he say is now what goes. And now that you're his property, your mother and father, if they say something, they're in violation. That's the way that game go.
Once you dive into that world, it's really like a dive into hell.
The victim felt that was really unfair. So she's talking this over with a friend of hers. At some point in that conversation, a decision was made that the victim was going to run away from home and that this friend of hers would help her. Goes ahead, leaves the house, meets up with her friend out on the street. She started catching on that this might not be a good thing, that this might be dangerous, and she did not want to get in the car.
While at the apartment, he took out a gun, pointed the pistol at her, and asked her how did she want to die. She decided that she would rather be shot in the chest, pointed the gun at her, pulled the trigger. He hadn't chambered a round. That convinced her that this guy would kill her if he wanted to.
You go to ATM and get some money or what? I'm not even working on it. So what were you gonna do? She said, yeah. I'll take your car. What are you
They engage in what's called a turnout party. The victim is violently sexually assaulted over a period of hours.
So we have all the U.S. cities here, and obviously we have Phoenix. So we will click that. The category that interests us as vice detectives is going to be under services, and we go to erotic here. Here's barely legal. I mean, here it's hard to tell. It's saying she's barely legal, but we don't know. And then we have, they're very obvious about it. I mean, it's 120 for a half hour, 180 for an hour, 300. I mean, there's no doubt what this woman is doing here is that she's advertising for prostitution.
For men, a lot of men, it just tends to be a fantasy. There's some danger to it, to having, it's kind of got a stigma to picking up a prostitute or ordering out an escort. And of course, the younger they are, usually the cleaner they are or the prettier they are, maybe the safer that they feel that they are with them. If they go home to their wife who is their age, why would they want to go pay for sex with someone that's their age? I think it's to fulfill a fantasy.
Yes, but it doesn't matter.
Well, it's really dangerous for the juveniles and everything that they do. Being a prostitute is just dangerous because they get cut all the time. These girls get cut with knives all the time. They're getting robbed, raped.
I've had girls who've had, obviously the professional athletes to the movie stars to the, plumber who spends his whole check on getting a girl.
Did you plan on having sex with that female?
I guess, yeah.
Adam Lincoln.
How much did you offer to pay her for sex?
80.
80?
Yeah.
From virgins to, 90-year-old men who have to pop a couple Viagras or whatever the case is, it's a real vast variety. People who you wouldn't even think of.
How does a man, to me, mess with a little girl and you know it's a little girl? How do they do that? To me, today, I don't understand that. And I would see these older men picking up these young girls, and there was a lot of men who would ask for young girls. 16 years old. Do you know any 16-year-olds? Do you know any? I'd be like, what's going through your mind, man?
It's not just a middle-aged white guy. It's not just the 20-something Hispanic guy. It's any age, any ethnicity, any socioeconomic background, from the very powerful to the very insignificant. They all will use the services of a prostitute.
They come our ways. Some of them are older. Some of them are young.
You really can't just say, okay, this is what a John is. It doesn't work that way. Just like you can't say, well, this is the type of person that would be a prostitute.
Acts of child prostitution can include prison up to 13 to 27 years, or 10 to 24 years, depending on the types of acts.
We found out that there were laws actually to protect the Johns, the people paying to have sex with these children, that they were able to use a defense that said, well, I didn't know that they were under the age of 18. Therefore, they didn't get prosecuted.
Pimps trained their victims to tell police, well, I'm 18 years old. And so they could then turn around and say, well, I didn't know how old she was. She told you she was 18, that's what she told me. And so that defense has been removed because we knew, frankly, it was a fallacy and it was a setup by the pimp.
We were unsuccessful in the legislature, though, passing legislation that affected Johns, because there were legislators there who were just so concerned that we would be taking the rights and the defense away from a John.
And that's one of the problems with these cases. A lot of times it's hard to keep your witnesses around. And without witnesses, you can't prove the case. So those are the challenges in these types of cases, because a lot of the girls are very transient, they run away a lot.
People see prostitution as this victimless crime. But as you move forward and you are educated more, not only do you find that it is not a victimless crime, it is so intertwined with abuse and torture, and it is so prevalent, and it is prevalent everywhere.
We need to do a better job protecting our children. And one of the steps that we need to take is make it a Class 2 felony for commercial sex with a child under the age of 18, period.
If the average age of a prostitute is indeed 13, then the vast majority of prostitution in our area is rape.
Everything is okay. Yeah.
Go down, get some sunshine, concept catching like about 2 o'clock at work.
Okay.
Eat and then come back. I promise.
Hey there. And this is basically my first time going back in this area. This was 6 years ago, because a year after they found them murdered, that's when I changed my life. So I think I'm ready for this. I think I'm ready. 5 years. This is the house. This is the very house right here that I last seen my sister walking right here at this house. And this is where I said bye to her. She said she was getting ready to go do something. And I remember leaving, walking right here. And I remember stopping right here because I didn't know what I was going to get ready to go and do. But then this is where I stopped. And I just started thinking. And at that time, I was going through a lot of emotional stuff. And so this is basically the neighborhood where we were hanging out at.
Do you remember the last things that you guys talked about?
I think the last things we talked about was basically, I do remember being kind of feeling real bad because I didn't want to leave her at that day. For some reason, I didn't want. And she said that she had something she wanted to go and do. Yeah. This is kind of getting hard, Chad.
Do you want me to turn it off, Carolyn? This is something I have to do anyway, because I avoid this area, you know, and it's kind of like what I'm doing basically today is I'm facing some demons, I'm facing some challenges, I'm facing a lifestyle that is not me anymore, but this is what I had, this, you know, and just a lot of emotions going on right now, you know, and I think about still all those girls that died and all those girls' lives that was taken and how they was all just kind of thrown away and left for dead. And I just remember one night when I cried out, it was like basically, you know, I remember after we knew and they found out exactly who killed them girls, And I remember this is the very, very bus stop. I remember being right here at this bus stop right here one night. This is the exact location, the exact bus stop. That it was like 3 o'clock in the morning and I was just out here. I didn't have nowhere to go. I was hungry, I was tired, I was dirty, I was scared. I was full of guilt, full of shame. It was just and then all the emotions of them girls dying and everything just started. It was like and I just remember saying a voice crying from a voice. It was something going on in my mind because I felt like I was almost like going crazy. I remember a cry out from the dead, a cry out. I just kept feeling their spirits, like feeling like they was crying out. You know, and at that time, this whole area felt so demonic, so wicked. It felt so empty out here. And I remember feeling like I was the only one in this whole world that was even up that time of night. And that's when I cried out and I asked God, please help me. I don't want to live like this. I don't want to be out here. I don't want to die out here. I don't want nobody to find my body and my family go through what they had to go through with my sister and her kids, have to go through all the hurt and the pain and the shame that they have to go through. And I just remember being at that bus stop crying, screaming at the top of my voice, and nobody even heard me.
If I could go back and do it over again, hell yeah, I would be like, no, but I'm here now, but yeah, being in this life and doing this is not something that I would wish on anybody.
Society is a dangerous place, and it gets more dangerous. There is actual, honestly evil people out there that will do your child harm if you are not there to protect them. If you don't raise your child, somebody else will. And that somebody else could be the last person in the world you'd ever want to have any contact with your child, much less raise them and shape their minds.
Unless we give these girls some hope, a place to go, people who will love them, ask them to dream, college education, give them a different way out. They see no way out. They go the rest of their life with this brand